going on, everybody? Welcome into Tennessee Football Talk. My name is Joey Petersen, and we got breaking news on today's show as Tim Banks will not return as the Vols defensive coordinator in 2026. And look, I don't ever want to celebrate, applaud for somebody losing their job, but I think we can all agree that this was the correct decision. This was the only decision, and now Tennessee's team can move forward with a new defensive coordinator, a new name, a new leader on that side of the football, and put their best foot forward for 2026. We're going to break down everything you need to know about the Vols moving on from Tim Banks. But before we get into that, this is exactly why you subscribe. When the Vols make a move, we make a video as soon as possible. Whether it's staffing changes, whether it's transfer portal, anything you need, we got right here. So subscribe today, and let's get to 10,000 subs by the end of the week. Austin Price was the one who broke the news earlier today, tweeting out breaking: Tim Banks will not return as the Tennessee defensive coordinator as Josh Heupel goes in a different direction for 2026. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was kind of starting to feel like this was not going to end up happening. I knew nothing was going to happen directly after the season because you had signing day 4 days later. You lose to Vanderbilt on Saturday. Wednesday is the first day of early signing day. You're not going to let go of your defensive coordinator in the 4 days between that happening, right? But then I kind of assumed that after Friday, when signing day was all wrapped up, and let's face it, this class was all wrapped up on the first day on Wednesday, I thought possibly Saturday or Sunday, that is when we were going to see the change. We're very used to seeing these coaching changes happening in this league and this sport on Sundays. And then I woke up this morning. Tim Banks was still the defensive coordinator for my favorite football team, my school I went to college at, and I thought, okay, it just might not happen. Well, obviously, that wasn't true, and Tennessee is, like we talked about earlier, they're moving in a different direction. And it was time, ladies and gentlemen. This is the right decision, ladies and gentlemen, all righty? If you look at what this defense has done against ranked teams, this year, last year, and the entirety of Tim Banks' tenure as the defensive coordinator, it has been horrific. 2025, this season, almost 40 points a game against ranked teams, 14th in the SEC. And a lot of people want to throw 2024 in your face. And they want to say, Joey, what about that team? That was a top 10 defense. Well, when they played ranked teams in 2024, they let up 30 a game. Who remembers playing Ohio State? 42 points from Ohio State. Maybe 41. Regardless, it was over 40. We're splitting hairs at this point. Last year against ranked teams, they weren't even top half of the SEC. And since 2022, when you play a ranked offense, 34.4 points a game. Now, I get it. Part of that is the way that Coach Heupel runs the offense. If you're fast tempo, if you're quick, your defense is just going to be on the field more. They're going to get less rest. I understand that. But a lot of people run tempo offenses. And a lot of defenses, for those tempo offenses, don't give up 40 points a game to ranked teams. That just is. That is what it is. And I personally, I'm happy that Josh ended up pulling the trigger, frankly. I didn't think this was going to happen after we got through the weekend. And I've been on record and saying, Josh Heupel is not on the hot seat right now. But if he loses his job in the next 3 seasons, let's say he loses his job in the fall of 2028, my opinion was it's going to be because he didn't make changes now. Because he just stayed the course in this offseason. We knew this was going to be a massive offseason. You went 8-4. You didn't beat a single bowl-eligible team in year 5 of Josh Heupel in Knoxville, Tennessee. Things had to change. Heads had to roll. And if you didn't make changes this year, then in my opinion, that might have been what starts the decline for Josh Heupel and his tenure in Knoxville. Volquest reported earlier today that Josh Heupel and Tim Banks have had meetings over the last couple of days, and the decision has been made to go separate ways. Josh Heupel's taking control of his future. He's taking control of his destiny. He doesn't want his job security to lie into the hands of Tim Banks. He feels like this team, this roster, this coaching staff, this university needs to go forward in a different direction, and so they're doing that. The first time he's ever fired an assistant coach. And I think it's coming at the right time. This year showed me all I needed to see. This year was it. Okay? This year, in my opinion, was it. And I'm very, very happy that Josh Heupel made them. Now, Tennessee does owe quite a bit of money because of the extension that Tim Banks signed last offseason. $4.3 million in a buyout. But I think every single one of us around the country would put at least $50 to that buyout to make this happen. Are you happy? The Vols are moving on. If you are, do me one big favor. Like the video if you think this was the right decision. Okay? Let me know by hitting that thumbs up button and cast your vote that way. Personally, I tweeted this out this weekend. I posted like the famous clip of Will Muschamp and Nick Saban just going absolutely ham on the sidelines at LSU. I need a defensive coordinator that's going to be on the sidelines. I need a defensive coordinator that can look his players in the eye, talk face-to-face with his players, coach them with intensity in person, not over the phone, okay, not over the comms. And instead, this is what we got. Now I get it. It's just a screenshot. Tim Banks wasn't asleep in the press box. I understand that. But I would rather have a defensive coordinator on the sideline chewing into his players than one that's like this in the booth. Okay? That's just the first part of my checklist. A guy that's going to be next to Josh Heupel and next to these players. I want a coach that emphasizes physicality. I want a coach that's not afraid to have these guys hit in practice. And I need a guy, like I've said before, that coaches with intensity. Look, I've said this a million times on this channel. I have a very unique insight into this team, into this program. I was very, very lucky to work for the football team in 2021. Josh Heupel's first year in Knoxville, my junior year of college. I was at every single practice. I got there before the coaches got there, and I stayed there till the huddle at the very end of it. In fact, my job was to get Josh Heupel running out to the practice field. So I was there from the beginning to the end. I got to see every single one of these coaches up close and personal. I know how every single one of these coaches coach. And Tim Banks is the players' coach. These players love him, right? But I never really saw him just jump on a guy's ass. I never really saw him get in somebody's face and coach with the intensity that I'm looking for my defensive coordinators to coach. That's not for the offensive side of the football. Coach those guys differently. Now, I still want you to be intense, be intentional, but if you're going to be a defensive coordinator, I need you to not be afraid to yell at somebody every now and then. And we talked about the physicality. And it's a perfect time to bring up this quote from Chris Lowe, middle of the season. One source told On 3 that one of the biggest concerns within the program is that the practices throughout the entire year, not just the season, aren't physical enough and that there's not enough contact. Now, I'm not going to say this is 100% on Tim Banks because it's not. Josh Heupel, he sets these things out. These are his practices. But I hope that with a new name, a new face, that the intensity, the physicality is going to get turned up a notch. Let me know down below, who do you want the Vols to hire next? Give me your answer down below in that comment section. Drop a name for me right now. I got something to drop for you guys. Speaking of things dropping, this price is dropped from $60 to $35. chatsports.com/UTBlackHoodie. If you go down in that comment section and description, that's where you'll find this deal. Click on that link and you're checking out in seconds, okay? It takes so quickly. If you need a gift, Christmas is 17 days away, ladies and gentlemen. I know for a fact you don't have all your presents. I know for a fact. If you're shopping for a dad, uncle, brother, cousin, son, anybody, this is the perfect gift for them. chatsports.com/UTBlackHoodie. That link's in the comments and description of today's video. So let's run through really quickly at the end of today's video some replacement options. I'm going to do this video tomorrow more at length. This is going to be like just the last like minute and a half or 2 minutes. Max Bullock is the first name, or Bullock is the first name I want to talk about. He's the current linebacker coach for Notre Dame, played football at Michigan State. He's an up and coming name in the college football coaching rankings, and I think he's a guy that's at least worth looking at, at least worth having a conversation with. He checks a lot of the boxes that we talked about earlier. Jim Knowles is a really interesting name. He's currently at Penn State, but I think he's weighing whether or not he wants to stay with the Nittany Lions. Obviously, he won a national championship with Ohio State the season before. Penn State was a massive disappointment this year for everybody, for James Franklin, Drew Adler, Jim Knowles as well. But I don't believe that he just forgot how to coach defense in college football over 1 year. I would love to see him at least be in the conversation. I think Gerard Mayo is an interesting name as well. Formerly the head coach for the New England Patriots. Got relieved of his head coaching duties after just 1 year. But also, we got to realize he was the linebackers and position coach under Bill Belichick for like a decade. He played under Bill Belichick. He played at Tennessee. I would never hire him as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, that's a guy I'd be really interested in because I think he would absolutely crush it in recruiting as well. And, of course, we all know he's a VFL. Mark Stoops is a name I would like to discuss as well. Obviously, we're very, very used to putting up a lot of points on Mark Stoops, but Tennessee has far better defensive talent than Kentucky has, than really Kentucky's ever had in his tenure. I think Mark Stoops is a guy that if you say, hey, look, we need a guy who's going to be the head coach of the defense. Josh Heupel, he has too many hands on the offensive side of the ball. If you're going to be the defensive coordinator for the University of Tennessee, you need to basically be a head coach. Mark Stoops has been a head coach before. I would have trust in him to be the head coach on the defensive side of the football. And then Will Muschamp is a name I think we should discuss. Obviously, he's been all over. Florida, LSU, Georgia. Like, he's done the rounds. But I believe that he's a guy that should at least be reached out for. It's been a while since he's had some massive defensive success in college football. But if you're looking for a coach that coaches with intensity, you got one right there in Muschamp. That's the quick five. I'll go in depth more, talk about more names on tomorrow's show. What's your trust level in Heupel to make a good hire, to make the right decision? Scaling for me 1 to 100 in that comment section down below. And make sure you got me followed on social media. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I tweeted the news out like instantaneously, like a minute after it dropped. So if you had me on Twitter, you would have found out a lot earlier than you do here because it takes a little bit longer to get a show going, graphics, all that stuff. So Twitter, that's the place to find me. You'll find the link to my Twitter in the comment section down below. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like I said off the top, when the Vols make a move, we make a video. Join us today. Let's get to 10,000 subs as quickly as we can.